Good morning, entrepreneurs and builders. Welcome to the Breaking Business Podcast, where we don't just talk marketing and entrepreneurship, we dissect it, we challenge it, we extract those golden nuggets that you can actually use every single day. Business is in your blood, and I'm here to make it boil. I'm your host, Dr. Wood. Now let's break it down and build something great. A lot of people, a lot of new entrepreneurs get discouraged when they look at marketing trends and look how fast-paced all of these strategies seem from the outside. So you have TikTok, right before it you had Snapchat, right before it you had Instagram, you have just I would say anywhere between every 3 to 6 months, there is a new avenue of quote-unquote marketing and advertising that can be utilized for any individual business. And a lot of people get discouraged about this. They think, hey, why would I, go about 6 weeks worth of planning if I'm only going to get 2 to 3 weeks worth of reward in the testing phase just to find out that the norm is swapping over to a completely different channel or a completely different method. And this creates a sense of feeling lost in how you develop your own marketing strategy in your business. And I'm here to tell you that it's not as complicated as you might think it is when looking at these marketing trends, because they follow a underlining tone of one singular item, and that is your ideal audience and connecting you from your product or service to that ideal audience. Now, 10 years ago, and I think it was around 10 years ago, I don't remember when MySpace and Facebook started, but I think it was 15, 20 years ago at this point. Anyway, so 10, 15, 20 years ago, when Facebook started, and we started advertising on Facebook. As an example, you cultivated a system of finding your ideal audience using that methodology, Facebook. I post something on Facebook, or I send my little messengers out for business coupons or potential sales, anything that was related to my business. This is all an example. So as an example, I throw that out there, and in that first year of Facebook, I get so-and-so responses, and I develop and cultivate an audience. This core audience that you start to develop from the base level of your business does not really fundamentally change unless you as a business fundamentally change. So if we take your same business model, and let's say you're a hardware store and you are selling hardware products, but if you're selling tools, essentially, let's just say you're selling tools at a hardware store. 20 years ago, you opened up this hardware store and you started letting everybody know, word of mouth, anybody and everybody around, that you are a hardware store that sells tools. Well, in that first year of business, you're developing, kind of passively, you're developing this audience where you know that those are the types of people that are going to resonate with your product or service. And so here we are, let's say 5 years ago. So you've at this point cultivated about 15 years worth of individuals. Now you are looking at Snapchat and you're thinking, I have no idea how to advertise or market with this trend whatsoever. You have to think the same way that you thought in the first year of Facebook. I am a product store, hardware store, selling tools, and I need to use this particular medium, which at the time was Facebook, now it's Snapchat, to reach my ideal audience. Well, over time, you'll notice that your ideal audience might not be on Snapchat. If your ideal audience at the time was 34-year-old to 45-year-old males, because you're selling tools, well, Snapchat at the time is not your ideal audience, because though at the time it was 16 to 23-year-olds. And then now we have TikTok. Well, TikTok, when it first started out, wasn't specifically for an older generation of crowd. It was for primarily a young generation crowd. And then over time, as it's the audiences of it. Where I'm going with this is, just because your ideal audience at this moment isn't on the platform doesn't mean that it's not a viable platform. Also, when the idea of marketing trends that move too fast, and should you even try to keep up as this core question, the answer is yes, because of that window, right? Where at the time a brand new medium starts, it's usually for a younger crowd. It's usually for the up and coming audiences into adulthood. And it usually, because younger generations set the trend, older generations adopt trends over time. And when we take that and bring that to the forefront, your business of the hardware store selling tools, it doesn't mean that that marketing medium, Snapchat, is not viable. It just means at this point in time, the audience hasn't matured to the degree that your specific ideal audience actually is going into. Let's say you're on the early trend and you say, hey, I know for a fact that Snapchat is going to be the future of my ideal audience. It just isn't for the next 6 months. Well, now you have 6 months to develop a plan and hit it hard and hit it fast when it actually starts. And you end up overshadowing your competition, taking a bite out of their market share. We saw a similar system when radio transitioned over to television, and then television transitioned over to social media, and then social media and news into influencers. And from influencers, we're going to break into AI. We're going to break into different sources of mediums that people are going to try and advertise for their ideal audience, and basically innovate the process of marketing over time. So back to the core point for the entire video, and the short answer to it is yes, you should try to keep up, because when you develop it, you start it, you automate it, you get it to a evergreen system, evergreen being little maintenance year-round. You can compound your strategies over time, and you end up gaining more and buying back your own time by just letting the processes filter in, and you get in at the low cost, you get it at the ideal time to steal market share. It's business, it is work. You already are having to allocate time and resources into a particular thing, and I know you get, as a business owner, you get into the mindset of, hey, I think my time is better served in this area or this area, and I get that 100%. The thing about the marketing trend aspect is it is a compounding system, so you should give it at least the same weighted value as your operations or as your finance or as your R&D department, because compounding nature of it is going to allow you to, as I said, buy back time, which then you can invest in expansions in other areas. And a lot of times you see that these advertising strategies don't necessarily go away, they just diminish over time. Example would be radio, newspaper, television to some degree at this point is being overshadowed by streaming. Streaming is going to be overshadowed by something else. Eventually, all the previous mediums are going to be reduced down to fractions of percents, but that's still an audience that you can tap into for your business. And if you have done the work to already set that up, you're not backpedaling as the years go by. Alrighty guys, well, I think that was all I want to talk about for the topic. Again, this was about marketing trends and should you even care enough because of how fast they're moving. And if you have a differing opinion from me, please shoot it down below. Let's all have discussion and see how we can, improve and streamline the process of thinking when it comes to marketing trends. And if you like the overall series, please like, subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with your family, do all that nonsense. Alrighty guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.